So in today's video, we are going to talk about the first time Scott had a seizure. And I'm going to give you what I remember from that day, and then he'll give you his version of what he remembers from that day. So he had his first seizure on January 9th in 2000. And back then we didn't have cell phones like we do now. So we were living together at the time and had been for about 6 or 7 months, I believe. And I had just gotten home from work and got a phone call on the house phone on the landline from his sister. And she said she didn't want me to panic, but Scott had a seizure at work. And she gave me the name of the hospital, and so I got in my car, and it was not a close hospital. It was probably about a 35-40 minute drive from our house at the time, because that was down by where his job was. So I hauled butt to the hospital. He was in good spirits when I got there. They told me he had a total of 3 seizures. He had one at work, he had another one in the ambulance, and then he had another one during his CAT scan. He couldn't remember his name or his address. He remembered, I think it was my parents' phone number, and I want to say his childhood phone numbers. He basically remembered nothing. He had no head trauma. This came out of nowhere. He seemed fine in the hospital. Like I said, he was in good spirits, and it was very upsetting for me, just because I had never dealt with seizures. Anyone who had seizures, I had never seen a seizure. He was in the hospital for a couple of days, and then he came home, and then they gave us the name of a neurologist, a specialist. At the time we lived in Orlando. And so we started seeing this neurologist. And I'll go into some of that on another video about picking your doctor and making sure it's someone that you're comfortable with. He was off work for 6 months. I think it was 6 months, because he wasn't allowed to drive until they figured out why he was having the seizures and what to do about the seizures. So that's the first time he had a seizure that it occurred for us. Gosh, over 20 years ago now. And every time he has one, it's like the first time. You would think you would get used to it, and you don't. It's your adrenaline goes, and your concern and for the person, and now it's even more different having a child to be worried about too, and her seeing them and knowing what to do in case daddy has a seizure. So at that point, we're just starting to learn about seizures and what to expect. We hope that, we can help you and your families. If you have a loved one that has seizures or epilepsy. And we hope if you have questions, we are happy to try to answer those. We hope you subscribe to our channel, and that we can be impactful for your life and your family. So Scott's going to give you his account of the things that he remembers from the seizure, from the first time he had the seizure. So here's my hubby.
So my wife told you already how I started having seizures, and I was 28 years old. I was at work, and I had a seizure, and it was a grand mal seizure. And when I was on the way to the hospital in the ambulance, I had my second seizure, and I was going into a CAT scan and I had my third seizure. When I woke up in the hospital, there were several people standing in front of me, which I didn't remember who they were, and I didn't know who I was. And the only thing I could remember was a phone number. Had no idea who it was, and apparently my sister, which was one that was standing in front of me, she knew the phone number, so she called my now is my wife. At the time I didn't know that, but that's all I knew at the time. I mean, there was nothing. I couldn't remember one thing. So that's my recall of everything that I remember from that day. In our next video, we will be talking about the differences between epilepsy and seizures. And we would like your comments about that after we're done with that one. Please subscribe and like our video, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for watching.